Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.
You're watching Conversations with Jennylyn, and we are back. Mel and I are back with segment 5, I think this is. Yeah, segment 5. Mel, I can't believe we've done that many. But if we had to report everything to you, we'd be doing one every day, and it would be over 2 hours. Which is why, if you are someone comfortable with what we have been sharing, you are going to read the book. Some of what is happening, I'm living, Mel is living, we are living. But it's still really hard to even hear myself say it without wondering if I've lost my marbles. But it's really happening, everything we are reporting. And so this week, I wanted to share this with you. If you're still following us, I would imagine a lot of people have fallen off the bandwagon because what's happening is so paranormal, if that's the correct word. But I am still sitting in front of you, and I am still in one piece, so don't be scared. What I'm learning is if you're someone who is being affected by dark energies, entities, reptilians, whatever, you will lose the battle if you are afraid. I live by myself and I fear nothing. When these things come around me, I just tell them to get the hell out of my house because I am not afraid of them. And I am not. And so this week, we have so much that I think Mel and I are just going to go with the flow and share what we can fit into the 40 minutes that we spend sharing this with you this week. I think I'm going to start by telling you that this week, and then we can build from here, Mel. This week, I was woken up at 4:15. I think it was on Wednesday. And as I opened my eyes, all I heard was his name is Rahul. And I thought, what? Who's waking me up at 5:15 and just telling me his name is Rahul? And I thought to myself, what the heck? But I've learned now that whenever I'm woken up and given something, whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense, it has a purpose. And so I've gotten into the habit now of grabbing my cell phone and making a note of what I'm given. And so I went back to sleep. And before I continue the story, I'm going to bring Mel in and introduce Mel, and then I will finish the story, and then we will go from there. Mel, I am so blessed to have you in my life for so many reasons. Guys, nobody has a friend like Mel. I know we all have friends, but I am telling you, she says I'm a warrior. She is a warrior. She takes care of all her clients every day, and yet she finds time, anytime I'm under heavy attack, to help me, because I have a gift of receiving information, and I'm clearly the one having these things done to. So I feel them, but then I'm powerless to help myself because I don't know how. And so my angel and human friend Mel, welcome back. I love you so much, and I want the world to know that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again to yet another edition and more info, right?
Yes. Before I continue the Rahul story, one thing I want to address, because I work with people, a good amount of them, who are really following this and are fascinated with it. And they tell me, we believe everything you're saying because we know you and we know you wouldn't make up stuff like this. But the one question they all ask me is, it's not done yet? When are you guys going to be done with this? Oh my God, is it going to go on forever? Well, this is not a question I thought anybody would get a chance to answer. To ask, because Mel is so competent and so good at what she does. And because she's working with love and light, I was confident that we would be done. And as you know, we have pretty much put the Chinese down. I'm not saying we killed her, because we are not here to kill anybody, but Mel has clearly rendered her dark practices null and void at this time. So although she's still trying to do things to me, they can't have the same effect they had in the past. Now I'll finish the Raoul story, and then I will turn this over to Mel. So I woke up, and as usual, Mel says, "Good morning, Jennylyn. How are you? How was your night? Blah, blah, blah." This is a daily thing with her. Sometimes I can't wait until she asks. I will wake up and start texting a whole book to her because so much has gone on during the night. So I told her everything that had happened, and then I go, oh, and yes, I forgot to tell you this. I was woken up at 5:15, and all I heard from my guides and my angels was, his name is Raoul. And Mel asked me, who the heck is Raoul? I go, I don't know. I go, do you know a Raoul? She said, no. And she said, let me check that energy. And Mel, I turn it over to you.
Okay, well, as you said, I don't know, or I didn't know who Raoul was. But the name, the energy associated or attached to the name, I could sense darkness with it. Okay, so I knew that it had to be someone associated to one of the two people that have been making your life miserable, or trying to, okay, rather. So, but at least, so that was the first conclusion I had. Now, of course, it took a lot more than that. I actually took the information and I sat with it. I asked my spirit team, I sort of tuned in, and I received some information. Not only did I receive confirmation from my spirit team, but I also received a visual that was given to me, which allowed me to associate or at least determine who this man is and what's happening, or what is going to be happening with this person. And what I will say is this: the visual I received was Dutchman, as I will call him, as you know, actually hugging this person, in man style, shaking the hand and then a quick little hug over the shoulder, a man hug, and then handing him a wad of cash. So that told me two things, right? It told me either Raoul is someone, well, not either, but actually it told me that Raoul is known to Dutchman, because otherwise there wouldn't have been that friendly hug, right? And it also told me that he has just been hired by Dutchman to do something. And why would you receive the name and I receive the visual if Dutchman were to hire somebody to extend, or renovate his kitchen? Obviously, that's not the case. Okay, so we knew that this was someone related to your case and that needed to be looked into, right?
Right.
So I knew that was happening. Now, what I didn't realize at the time, not yet, was whether or not this was just a symbolism from my own spirit team to show me how this Raoul is connected, or if this actually was an indication that Dutchman had actually met with this person in real time. And it turns out that he actually did. As a matter of fact, not only did my spirit team sort of direct me that Raoul was located in California, in the LA area, okay, but they also sort of confirmed to me that Dutchman had taken it upon himself to travel to California, okay, to meet this Raoul in person, okay. Now, interestingly enough, and we have to mention this, why would he do that now? Well, one of the reasons was, for those of you who don't know, Wednesday was a pretty big celestial event. It was a full moon, a hunter's moon, that was perceived to be very powerful. And anyone who is familiar or has any idea about witchcraft or any kind of magic knows that those who practice magic do harness the powers and the energy of the celestial bodies. Okay, so full moon is a very, very popular time to do things. So I'm not surprised that we're finding out this person's name and the information that Dutchman traveled overseas to go meet him. All right. Now, to take it a little bit further, who is this Raul? I received information that this Raul is actually someone who is also practicing dark magic. So if you want to call him warlock, whatever, he's a Satanist as well. Because what is happening is he is connected or associated, connected by association. That's the word I'm looking for. With this organization that we mentioned here before that starts with the letter I. Okay. So in other words, he does work for them. Okay. He is employed by them whenever, because he practices dark magic. And he assists them. And as a matter of fact, I believe, Jennylyn, that Raul was responsible for some other things that have been done to you in the past. That this is not the first time that Dutchman potentially has employed this person's help to do something.
Because I remember when you said you had to remove this, whatever was shrouding me.
Correct, yeah.
It was so difficult to remove. You told me that you don't think he had help to do it.
He did, yes. He must have had help because it would have required sort of a ritual in addition to that, okay, to whatever he's doing. Now, I'm not, Dutchman's magic is very powerful. Again, I've said this before, okay, he knows he's skilled in his craft, if you so will, but even there are limits to what he can do, okay? So there are things that even he needs assistance with. So I'm pretty sure that he had assistance with that shroud, and he apparently was seeking assistance once again, right, the other day. Now, one might think, well, why would this Dutchman need assistance? Well, we were thinking the same thing. Now, there could be many different reasons why, but from what I gather, the sense I'm having, and I don't know this 100%, but the feeling I'm getting is, and you have been sort of getting the same sense, we've talked about this, is that Dutchman has realized that I sort of have identified his method of magic. So every time he does it, I can sort of detect it and have a way of know how to remove it.
Undo it.
Correct. So the best way, he probably thought, you know what, since she's so familiar with my stuff, I'm going to employ the services of another who she's unfamiliar with. And that's the truth, because when this Raul guy started doing his little practice, I came across the energy of the magic, and I immediately knew that it wasn't Dutchman, and I knew it wasn't Sandra T either. So I knew it was somebody else. And being that we had been given the name, I knew it was Raul. That's the conclusion I gave. And actually, I know this for a fact because while I was removing some of the things, his name came up a couple times. So I knew, I got confirmation that it was him. I also believe, and that Dutchman went to LA to perform a ritual that required, again, not only, additional help, but also something that was different about what he could do. So, in other words, I'm trying to find my words here correctly. So, not only did he want maybe someone else's gifts involved for me not to be able to detect it and take it down, but he also wanted to double up, if you so will. Okay. But I have to tell you, I'm going to say this directly into the camera now, okay? This Raul guy, his skills are by far not anything like the Dutchman's are. So he hired somebody who wasn't on par. And I actually pretty quickly took down this other guy's stuff. Okay, I mean, seriously, I know he's going to be. I'm saying this in the camera, Jennylyn, not to be arrogant because I don't run that way. But you know, if you're going to hire somebody, Dutchman, hire somebody who at least is equal to you. Okay, honestly. And you know, there comes a point, and I'm really being a little silly now, but there comes a point where when does it end, right? And I can actually pick up from that, like your coworker said, when does it end? Why isn't this over? I can get into that as well, because I really do think that your audience needs to understand what's happening here and why this wasn't finished yet, or why this isn't finished yet.
Mel, before you continue, can I share something with them?
Absolutely. Yes.
I want everyone watching this show to know Mel is so committed to saving me because she sees what is done to me. She feels some of what is done to me. That the night of the moon that she mentioned, she set her alarm to wake up at 3 a.m. and was able to save me from the magic that Dutchman flew to LA to do to harm me. And maybe, Mel, can you tell them quickly about that before you go back to what you were saying? Because not only was there a moon, but I think there was also a comet. I was told there was also a comet traveling at the same time as the moon, so it made it a really powerful time to manifest their evil and for it to have power and take effect. But Mel didn't even tell me she was doing this because I would have tried to stop her. Because that particular day, she spent hours. I was attacked massively. And if we have time, we'll share some of how. But she woke up at 3 a.m. I heard the voice. And she was able, Mel, you wanted to share what you found when you woke up at 3?
Well, I was pretty tired, to be honest with you, but the reason why I couldn't tell you, and I don't tell you everything even now, is because it appears that some of our conversations through text and otherwise are being monitored, okay? So that's kind of why I don't. So I didn't want to give away that something was going to come, and that's exactly what happened. So I was kind of nudged by my own spirit team to that was going to be necessary, because it's not the first time. I have done this with Sandra, okay? Sandra a couple times. Now, when I did wake up, I was really, really tired, and I thought to myself, am I going to be able to do this? Show me what it is I need to see. And all I saw was given a visual, and it included a fire. And it's very common for those who are doing dark magic to do this. I've witnessed this a few times. Not in your case, but other times. It requires a fire, and they use this fire to sort of, amplify or intensify their magic. And I also would presume, and I'm actually getting a download here for a second, so hold on a second. Animal sacrifice. Oops, I am so sorry.
Don't worry about that.
I didn't put it on. It included animal sacrifice. And for your viewers who are sensitive, I urge you, to maybe step away for a moment, because this is the reality of what these people are doing, okay? These people are using blood magic, and they sacrifice animals. In this case, actually what I'm showing, and I didn't see this at the night because I was so tired. It was a goat. Okay, I'm sorry to say this, but it was a goat. So they're correcting me and saying it's a white goat. So apparently I need to go say this. And I do know that that's the preference of color, a white goat, because I guess of its purity, of the white, that the purity that it sort of represents. So what else happened that I didn't see then? Because you have to remember, I was in the middle of, I was half asleep, and I did some energy work. I did what my spirit team asked me to do, and then I said, is that good enough? And they're like, yeah, can you go back to sleep? So I did, okay. And I woke up the next day, and I said to myself, was that enough? I don't And they're like, yes, it was. So whatever was happening at that particular time, I was able to intervene or do something to diffuse it or to dismantle it, okay, which took away the effect. Yeah, definitely. It was a complete and utter ritual, which not only included dark magic, the magical part of things, but also the sacrifice of an animal. And these are the types of people that we're dealing with here, okay? I don't think your audience really understands that they do not shy away from doing that. That is part of what they do.
They're the darkest of the dark.
Correct.
Sandra T, Dutchman, and now this Raoul. These people are in the upper echelon, the dark world. Sandra T is a high priestess. Dutchman is a high priest and a warlock. And this, what's his name? Robert?
I would refer to him as a magi. I don't know why my spirit team wants to call him magi. You know why magi? Because magi have additional abilities with regard to magic that warlocks don't have. Now, Raoul, I would consider a warlock. Okay, so see, for some reason, there's for technical reasons, I guess, they want me to use these certain terms, and that's okay with me. I mean, I personally don't care what you call them, but they're sort of reminding me of that. I mean, that's just how it is. But yeah, that's in essence what it is. Yeah.
Okay, Mel, I know I interrupted a story because I really felt it was important for us to tell my viewers what you saw when you woke up, because you mentioned it, but we didn't share what happened when you woke up. So Mel saved me from whatever they were planning to do. Now, when Mel is finished explaining, I will share why Dutchman flew all the way to Los Angeles to try to use the moon, because we had another big event this morning, which we understand now. And I think at this stage of the game, it's safe for me to say all of what is happening to me. Some of it has to do with jealousy of the Chinese woman. Some of it has to do with the Dutchman's arrogance and ego that I rejected him. But those pale in comparison to why they're really after me. Now, do you want to share that part?
Sure. Do you want to go into that right now, or do you want me to finish what it is I was saying?
Finish what you were saying.
Yeah, kind of, I know what you
Sorry, I took you off track.
The whole thing.
Go back to what you were saying.
No, that's fine. I just felt the need to sort of briefly explain, because your coworkers have mentioned or asked you, why
is it going to be over? Yeah.
Now, this isn't a case, if your audience should know this by now, where we're talking about a demonic attachment, for instance, where you just go in and you remove the entity and then it's done and over with. It's gone and it's done. Okay. It's not one of those cases. All right. We're talking about people here, 2 of them, and in this case, this week, 3 of them, who actively, constantly on a daily basis renew spells, try to, actually do rituals and things of that nature. As a matter of fact, the Chinese woman, Sandra, had attempted to pull me into this, okay? And well, they both have. But I've seen my name and my picture in a satanic circle. I was given that visual. So, yeah, so just so your audience can understand what these people do, okay? Now, here's the thing. Why isn't that over yet? Because we're talking about free will here. If the divine, I work with the divine and with the light beings, okay, all sorts of light beings. And if they and I, through me, could sort of eliminate evil and dark forces like that, there wouldn't be any evil in the world, right? What's happening is there's free will. So, in other words, Sandra has free will to do what it is that she does, right? And so does Dutchman, and so does Raoul, for instance. And the universe and the cosmic laws are very, very particular, and about preserving that free will that human beings have to do what it is they want to do. So even if what it is they're doing isn't for in the best interest of other people or is evil, it's still free will, okay? Because it can go both ways. So when someone like me comes in and wants to sort of shut them down, I can't just say, okay, you're doing somebody harm and you can't do it no more, or do something to shut them off immediately. That's not how it works. So how does it work then? Well, and this is something that I've come to understand really in by working your case, really. What happens is that there's these cosmic rules that cannot be broken, and there are also unspoken rules that among the light and dark that are actually in place so that they can coexist. So in other words, the darkness doesn't overstep certain lines, and neither does the light. Okay, it sounds a little funny or crazy, but hear me out. Okay, so what happens is when someone like me, first of all, they all need a vessel. Okay, and I've mentioned this before. They need someone, a human, who actually executes that stuff or assists them. So this is why the darkness chooses Sandra, or chose, the people who are doing it. Okay, or who are conjuring something, or who bring something about. The same thing is with me. Okay, the light is using me as a vessel to do what it is that I'm doing to counteract what it is they're doing. Now, part of this counteraction is this. I liken it to almost if somebody gets arrested. Okay, if somebody gets arrested, gets in trouble, they are given due process, right? So there are certain things that have to happen in order for that person to be going through the system, through the process of being convicted or seeking justice being, done. And this is kind of like how this works. And how this works is, in essence, is that, for instance, I'll give you a couple of examples. There are some things that I do binding. Okay, I try to, with the assistance of the light, I do some binding. Then when they continue to do it, they actually are, by invoking some of those things through the divine, they are starting to break laws. Okay, they're starting to break laws when they continue it. But it's basically, again, that free will. If they do it so many times, then, again, the light beings and the light and the divine has additional options available to them, right? Without breaking those cosmic laws.
Right.
And that's kind of how that is. And those unspoken rules, as it so happened in Sandra T's case, she ended up getting in trouble with her own kind. Okay, because they like to be left alone. So if one of their own starts to cause trouble within their midst with the other side, they're going to be taken and held accountable, which is kind of what's happening now with Dutchman. Okay, it did happen with Sandra on a different level, but Dutchman is in trouble because of something that you're going to go and talk about, right?
Yeah. While you were speaking, something else occurred to me that I thought we should share, and it has to do with a place he took me this week. And are we allowed to share this?
Yes.
The place where you fished me out when Archangel Michael went with you?
Oh, you mean on your property?
No. That place where he promised my soul and where all the animals were that he stuffed into.
Yes, that's fine. Yeah.
You're allowed to speak about that?
There's so much that went on that I don't even know what you're talking about.
But I thought we should share that story if it's safe, because of how impacted I was.
Yes.
So people can understand. I know you're looking at us thinking, somebody's not even touching you, and they're having those dramatic impacts on you. Yes, and yes. And always I will text Mel. Mel, I'm feeling like I'm having a rock in my stomach. And by the way, yesterday at work, I told my friends I'm allergic to beef because we had beef for lunch, and then I felt sick. I felt like my lunch sat there and I threw up. And then yesterday I had salad and the same thing happened. And I thought, well, it's not the beef. There's something else going on. Mentioned it to Mel. She checked and they had stuffed rocks in my stomach. You're probably looking at this going, but they didn't physically put rocks in your stomach. How then could you feel? Well, that part I cannot answer, but I do feel. And I feel everything that they do. And so the day before the moon, or the day of the moon, I was driving home from work and I was panicked because while driving, and they always are strategic, they wait until I get in my car to do a lot of these things. I felt like someone had ice picks in both of my eardrums and like they were drilling a hole through my skull. And simultaneously, it felt like somebody stuck a workbench in my chest to where my rib cage felt compressed. And I was panting in the middle of this really heavy traffic coming home from work. So I picked up my phone and I called Mel because I couldn't text. And I go, Mel, I don't know what is going on. My chest is tight. I can't breathe. I'm feeling like I have stuff in my eyes, in my eardrums, my right knee, and I use my right leg to drive. I couldn't put pressure on my brakes because I felt the most excruciating pain. And sure enough, thank God, Mel was not in the middle of a session. She checked and she found a rhinoceros, and God, she could mention all the animals that were rammed into my stomach. Because when I first mentioned it, she said, I checked your stomach and it's clear. And I said, I don't know how that could be because I've got so much pain and pressure in my chest. And it turned out he had hidden it. And this is when we found out he went to some even darker place. And now I'm going to let you take over from here with that, where you had to go to get me back.
Sure. For some reason, Dutchman loves to use animals. He loves to use animals and insects to cause you pain and suffering. Okay. And how he does this, as a matter of fact, that was the day that you woke up and you could barely roll out of bed too, right? It's kind of...
That was the next morning. He did it again.
Yeah. Okay, see, they're just running all together. But yes, so he loves to use animals to cause you pain and somehow the reason why you're saying there was rhinoceros and all other animals within you is because when I go in and I sort of check your chest or the area that is affected, I have the ability to, remove the magical weaves, okay, the magical threads, and I gain access to it. Okay, that's just how I do it. And what happens is when I open the area energetically, all of a sudden in my mind's eye, I get all these animals. I swear, the one time I thought we were in Africa somewhere in the Serengeti or something. I mean, there was things in there that you can't find even here in this country. Okay, so but what you're referring to is that was actually I couldn't fully assist you at that time because I noticed that I was working on you and I couldn't gain access to that area. And I said, you know what, Jennylyn, I don't know, but I don't feel it. I can't find it, right? And I knew, after you telling me it's still there, I knew that he had employed a different method, in other words. So he used something else, okay? And that was later in the day. And so I couldn't figure out later in the day. So I said to my spirit team, just, take care of her. We're going to have to, this is going to have to wait till tomorrow morning. And I did. The next morning I woke up and I actually went, and in the morning, I'm very clear, in the mornings, really early, I did it. And I went in, and what I found was that he actually created what was like a sub-reality. This is going to sound off the wall, okay? But he literally created a reality and stuck you into that reality and have all this stuff going on. So when I was touching you or trying to figure out what was going on with you, I couldn't feel anything because I wasn't accessing that reality. And I didn't know that he had done that because this is something that never seen before either. But again, I have help. So the next morning when I was fresh and, ready to go for the day, I asked, okay, universe, show me what it is. And he stuck, and I actually went into this reality, and I was told to simply take your hands and pull you out. And I did. I pulled you, and it took something. I pulled you literally in my mind's eye with my eyes closed out of this sub-reality. And then start working on you, and I gained access to it, and you actually confirmed that you were feeling a lot better after that. So it's just things were all of a sudden different, and I'm like, that man has a lot of tricks under his, in his repertoire, if you so will. But that was the first for me. But nonetheless, we figured it out, and just we're always every day we're wondering what's next, what's he going to come up next, and how many more tricks does he have left, right? I mean, that is something I have never seen before,
And so Mel had not told me about this. I just woke up and I thought maybe during the night the angels came and cleared me. I wasn't sure because I woke up and I felt a little bit better. But during the day we had more of the same. So Dutchman, unfortunately, has met his match now because Mel is working with light, and dark cannot put out light forever. It can dim the light, but then the light is the light. And so Mel eventually has been clearing me and removing the things that he has been putting. But as soon as she removes it, he knows when she's busy because somehow he can monitor us both. And as soon as he knows she is not available, that's when the attacks come in heavy duty, like at night when she's gone to bed and I am kind of on my own. But recently I've learned that I could call on my angels and my guides and they would come in. So they've been assisting me in the ways that they can until Mel wakes up in the morning. But the day after the morning where she did this clearance, I woke up and I was about to get out of my bed and I felt restricted and constricted, and it felt like someone had come and tied me up. I thought maybe they wrapped me with a snake or something because I could not. And then when I eventually managed, because I kept feeling a lot of pressure on my shoulder and my entire body hurt. So when I was able to sit up, I texted Mel and I said, Mel, I think I got wrapped up during the night in something. I feel restricted. I feel constricted. Everything hurts. I don't know what's going on. And a little bit later, can't make this crap up, Mel texts me and goes, yeah, no wonder you can't get up because he has an elephant sitting on your shoulders. Remember that?
Yes, and actually that was the day where you also had, I saw him, give you a shot of something, and it was a
Oh.
Yes. So not only did you have, it literally, I tuned into you, and the universe showed me elephants on the shoulder. And I'm like, no wonder she can't get up, because it literally, I'm not making this up. I would never assume to look at somebody's energetic body and find an elephant sitting on the shoulder, okay, to the extent that it can, mind you. So, but yes, but then I also found that he did do something to affect you like a tranquilizer would. And the only reason why I know it's tranquilizer is because when I saw the syringe, I asked, what is this? And then I received the information. Okay, I've received other things before from other things that were put into your body that were poisons of some sort, or venom, if you so will. So.
And last week when we did the segment, I mentioned that I had not been feeling well. I had picked up a virus, but Mel and I discovered, because I told Mel that I noticed that my hair was falling excessively and I couldn't understand why. I take all my vitamins and, suddenly over the last 2 or 3 weeks, I noticed that I had been shedding hair excessively, which was concerning to me. And I just happened to mention it to Mel, and we discovered that he had just heard the voice. That he had actually set up an IV and was administering arsenic to me. We don't know for how long. And so, Mel, if you want to talk about that. And the reason I'm sharing all of this with you is for you to understand. Mel and I believe that I am a guinea pig for her, as in Spirit and God is allowing him to do all of these things to me so that Mel will get the experience so that she can go forth and help others eventually. Because after this, we will tell you why Sandra Town and all of these people in the upper echelon of the dark wants to take me down.
Yes, you've mentioned on multiple occasions that I've never had a case like yours. And that really it's challenging me and my skills. Is basically what you're saying. Okay. I have engaged in removing, voodoo spells. I have engaged in removing demonic entities. The demonic attachments are not that bad, if you so will, to, if it's like on a person compared to what it is that you're dealing with. So your case definitely challenged me and is still challenging me in many ways. And I found that there are things that I wasn't aware I could do until I was doing them, with regard to your situation.
Right.
So yes, I don't think that the universe or spirit and the divine allows you to continue to suffer for that reason. They don't do that. But it's certainly, there's a benefit that I'm getting out of it while I'm working with you, and that benefit is teaching me, that some of those things exist that I didn't realize existed. For instance, I didn't realize that you could do that. You could put somebody into a different reality or create this different reality, and then I have to pull you out of it. That I didn't realize somebody could actually do that until I saw that. Okay, until it happened. So those are the types of things that, I am learned throughout this process. I've also didn't realize that there is a sort of that due process that's necessary, okay, that I was talking about earlier. Again, there are certain things that have to happen before the universe and the divine can shut somebody down. Okay, and one of those things, and I want to actually mention this, is one of those things that anybody, no matter how terrible or evil that person may be, they're always given plenty of opportunity, multiple opportunities to sort of give up, and repent. And I don't like the word repent because I'm not in the traditional religious sense, but it sort of is, are you sorry for what it is you're doing? Are you going to stop, sort of to turn the corner? They're given the option to turn the corner. That's one of those things. That's, that's part of this due process. And if they don't, that's when some more, the divine and other things can clamp down even harder. The next, it's like, and this is why it's taking so long. This is because we're going through this due process. Okay. And now, I have to mention the differences between Dutchman and the Sandra is that Dutchman has this thing with the reptilian, this otherworldly part to him, which makes his story a little bit more different. Okay, a little different and a little bit more difficult in a sense, in the way that he can be shut down. But my guess is that the reason why he came to LA or hired the services of this other person is because he felt he needed assistance. And what does that mean?
You're putting him down.
His craft and his skills are slowly getting shut down or whatever's happening. I can't tell you exactly what's happening, but I do know that I find that very odd that someone of his caliber would employ the services of someone who's not even half of his caliber. And I'm not being judgmental here. I mean, they're both good at their craft, but I have to say Dutchman is something else. Okay, I have to give that to him. I have to give him props for that. In his craft, he's no slouch. But he looked for assistance, and that tells me, and that tells you, that he needs assistance because he's very much to himself. The only assistance that Dutchman has asked for and that has actually acted upon is the reptilian, beings that came to your home and that still do sometimes. Okay, but even then, and I mentioned this to you just today or yesterday, is that in your yard, right? Whereas on the side now where your window is and where the basement is and all of that good stuff, that area used to be just awful with energy, and you used to go back there and you used to feel that. Right. They're no longer there. They don't go there. They can't go there. That area has been claimed by
the divine.
Now, and it's real funny, when I look at your property, I can see when the reptilians do show up, they're all on the other side. They're on, and that's kind of where they stay, and they still go into your home somehow. But that's fine. But they cannot go over there to the other side, which is really, they've done this all this time. They've done it, and now they can't. I don't know why. But that tells me something's happening and we're making some progress. So I'm just saying, this is one of those things where I look at what's happening, what changes, and that's how I gauge progress, because that's the only thing I have, right? That's the only thing we can do is to gauge progress. Even if we don't physically see progress on your physical vessel, if you're still getting attacked, I do know that something's changing because of other things that are happening. Again, due process, okay? Different things are happening, so that means we're going in the right direction. That's basically what that means. Yeah.
And unfortunately, next week Mel is not going to be here with me because she has to take care of some personal stuff. But I will come on and share whatever I can without her that's taking place during the week next week. And because she won't be here next week, I thought we could go over a little bit and do a full hour. And I'd like to wrap today's segment up with the real reason why I think Sandra Tong, Dutchman, Arjen Bauman, and his new hire, and all the people who work with Sandra Tong, all her workers, the reason that all of these people are after me, and something we hadn't shared before, but Mel got clearance for us to share. One of the things that Mel removed from my body, apart from those badges that were Mason badges, was a key. And I will let Mel take over from here, because when we tell you about the key, and then Mel can decide if we can tell you who has the key now, and why we think Dutchman is trying so hard. Because I know you're watching this and thinking it doesn't make sense. She broke up with this guy 20 years ago, and why would he still be so after? It's not love, people. I don't even think he was ever capable of love. He knew who I was. He knew my divine purpose in this life. And he was selected probably to stop me. So now over to you.
Yes. So I actually, let me backtrack a little bit. You actually handed over the key through.
I did?
Correct. So basically, let me just tap in real quick to make sure that I am not giving away anything I'm not supposed to.
Okay.
Okay, I'm getting the green light about it. Okay, so so basically, as and your viewers have seen in a couple of videos, that there were a bunch of souls, that have been coming up that you captured on video, right? Those are not dark entities; those are souls, human souls. Now, we've mentioned before, maybe our thoughts or on the subject and, what this may mean. But here's the thing. According to the divine, Dutchman, and this has to do primarily with Dutchman because he did this. He somehow has bonded himself to you, okay, in an effort, because of his reptilian thing, in an effort that you will allow for souls to be redirected wherever you are so that they can be harvested. And I'm going to use the word harvested, and that's where I'm going to leave it at. Okay. I know this is going to bring up a lot of other, questions, and people probably going to be concerned, and there is reason for concern, but it's really, that's just what it is. And these souls were actually initially going into your basement, right? When your landlord decided to put up a ring camera, which wasn't there before, we found out that these souls were going downward, right? They were going into the basement and they stayed there, or wherever they were going. As a matter of fact, I think in your basement there was a subterranean cave system, like not a cave system that we human beings could actually go down to, but it opened up to sort of, not to the underworld, if you so will. Something like people would, yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. And, well, we sealed that up now. You can't, okay? It's not, but that's where they were going. And when we finally did a lot of, working with the basement, remember, I at first there was a demonic entity that was in the basement that needed to be, taken care of. Then there was a reptilian in there that needed to be taken care of because they were sort of guarding that place. I say this because I energetically go in this space and I encounter these beings, okay? I don't know what I encounter there. When I go in there, I don't make this stuff up. I just go in there and then I'm like, okay, who's there? Or what's there? And I usually go in with backup, okay, and some sort of thing, okay? Especially with the reptilian. With the reptilian, I always have some sort of backup. Let's put it that way. So the one time I remember that the floor opened up and I saw that this underworld was there, okay? This is what was shown to me. Anyhow, I'm getting off track here, Jennylyn, so I apologize. We were talking about this key. I didn't even know it existed, okay?
Neither did I.
Had any idea what was going on with these souls, okay? Until the one time they were going up, and you mentioned this in one of your segments, is that you thought they were entities, and you thought, the whole evil realm
was unleashing on me.
Correct, and it wasn't. It was souls going up, and the souls were going up actually because the divine was able to sort of redirect them on a basis, on a case by case basis at that time. So every time that these souls were going up, your yard had divine beings in there, and they were sort of redirecting them. So now, but what happened recently, or a couple weeks ago or so, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, is that I was doing energy work. Again, I was prepping. It was in the evening, I remember. I was prepping your yard because I tend to do that to sort of minimize the impact that these beings have. Okay, that's just what I do. I've come to do that. And I've seen you actually sent me a video again of those souls going up. So I saw those souls on the video, but then I also went in and the next thing I know is it was Archangel Michael, you and myself, okay, standing with our hands in the flow of these souls. And I hear Archangel Michael asking me, or telling me, ask her to give me the key. And I didn't know what key he was talking about. And he said, ask her to give me the key. And Archangel Michael is someone who's with me all the time. I trust him with my life, okay? This is somebody I know this wasn't somebody else, this was him. So I sort of energetically asked you okay, without you even knowing, okay? But it is you, we're all there, and you literally handed over the key to Archangel Michael. Now, this key, your audience is probably thinking, what does that mean? What's the key? Well, the key is necessary for anyone who is sort of in charge of redirecting the souls. So while you were holding the key, and this isn't an actual key, okay, that you unlock a lock with. This is a key from the inside. I mean, it was presented to me as a key, but it is something within you that you relinquished to the divine so that you wouldn't have to carry the burden of it any longer, okay? And so that they could then take over for you and do what the divine does. But we see we had to get to that point. You weren't ready to surrender the key until that moment. And that moment you surrendered the key, I'm getting the chills as I'm saying that, to Archangel Michael. And that was the moment that the reptilians and Dutchman lost control over the flow of these souls. From that moment on, they were trying their best to try to get those souls to go back in the basement to go redirect. They cannot. So what I'm told is that they cannot redirect those souls because they don't have the key. You don't have the key. And they didn't know that you had given the key, which is why they tried to rebrand you. They were crazy about re-putting the brands within your vessel and trying to get you to sort of, because they didn't understand what was happening, right? They didn't understand why they had lost. This is the impression I had. Now, I don't know if today us telling them this is news. If it is, by all means, okay, Dutchman, you lost the key. And I know that he got in trouble because I know that I was told that the reptilian beings have confronted him about it. I know that it was scrambling because he's responsible for it. And he messed up. He thought that he would never, ever be in that position. He thought you were a slam dunk. And here we are. Not only are you not a slam dunk in other shape or form, but also you no longer hold the key. And I don't have the key. It is Archangel Michael. So guess what? Good luck with getting that key back from an archangel, because I can tell you that's not going to happen. It's not going to be surrendered anytime soon. It's not going to, I don't know how this goes from here, but if this is news to them, I hope we're breaking the news in a good way. Okay? Because somebody's got to tell them. It's like, stop.
Dutchman, you want to stick animals somewhere? Try doing it, Archangel Michael. Go fight with him. He's now the one you need, not me. I handed it over to safe hands. Okay, Dutchman and Sandra Tong, and all of you who are after me, and while I'm alive and breathing, you will never get your hands on another human soul. They will go back to God, where they belong. And that's my say, and I mean it.
Yes.
So Mel, I wanted us to share that so people could understand why these people are after me. And apparently it was happening when I lived in California.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
in my very first episode, I shared where my neighbor was sitting on my bed one day, waiting for me to get dressed because we were going out. And she told me she saw a face in the head of my bed saying, "Please help." I was mortified because I did not know any of what I know today. And I kept going, what nonsense are you telling me? And I ran into my closet. I got a big blanket and covered the head of my bed. But I had to come home and sleep in it anyway. So I guess I was always very brave and not really a coward, because weak of the heart or a coward would not survive what I've gone through.
Right.
And so, Dutchman, I believe the reason why Mel saw him in Los Angeles hanging out with Raul, I almost want to growl when I say that name, is because with the full moon and the comet, there was a massive amount of souls that went up this morning.
Yes, there were.
And I will put the tape here I'll put the video here for you to see. A massive amount. And one other thing, and then I'll turn this over to Mel and we will wrap. I was so angry yesterday. I was screaming at Archangel Michael and all of the divine. I've had enough. This is enough. You're taking it too far. I'm driving. I can crash. I'm being attacked. Where are you? I was so upset. And I said, when I eventually arrived home safely, I said, Archangel Michael, if I'm going to suffer like this, it better be worth something. It better be because I've saved a whole bunch more souls. And tomorrow morning when I wake up, it would make my suffering worth it if you show me another batch of souls going up. I did not get to sleep until 1:30 this morning. I was having trouble sleeping because I was being attacked. And when I eventually fell asleep, I was woken up at 5:15 and told, turn the camera on. I turned the camera on, I waited about 10 seconds, and I was about to turn it off and go back to sleep when they came shooting out of wherever they come from. And they just kept going up and going up and going up. And I saved a video and shared it with Mel, and I'm going to share it with you. And we can't make this stuff up. We can't. In fact, I said to Mel, and when we write the book, you're going to see how much you're missing that we can't share here. But I said to Mel, if I could make this stuff up, I would put Grisham and all these famous authors out of business. Because today, right before this segment, both Mel and I were attacked. Dutchman went for both of her chests. And Sandra T was doing something. She's quite weak now, so it's difficult for us to really tell what she's doing. But Dutchman went after Mel's chest and my chest, and right now my chest is being attacked, but I can handle it because he's not going to stop us doing this. And so the reason that he's doing this is he's trying to stop us because they don't want the exposure. So thank you for following this. I know it's crazy. It sounds like some Halloween made up story, but this is nothing about what we share is made up. And I suffer a lot. So if you don't believe me, it's your bad because I am telling you what I am sharing, I am living. But I'm not here to convince you either way. It's up to you if you want to believe or not. Mel, over to you.
Okay. Before I give my last word, I wanted to briefly add that I'm pretty sure that there are others like you who are holding keys, who are being used to, move souls. So, I'm sure you're not the only one. But I'm hoping that, something or someone is getting in touch with those people and can assist them in redirecting those souls.
Let's pray to God. Let's pray to God this video can make it to them so that they can get help and get hand over those keys.
Right. I do believe that the divine works in mysterious ways. And it's the same thing with my clients. They always tell me they feel the need to contact me. They feel somehow something is telling them they need to contact me, and they act upon it. And then, it's almost that the divine is sending me the people that need to, that need to come to me. And I fully believe in that, and I trust in that. So I'm not worried at all. But I'm only one person, so I think for you in your case, this is huge, right? There are thousands upon thousands and thousands of souls that are coming out of there and have been. And again, there's so many questions that this segment, I'm sure, and so many things that we've talked about today that will arise or make more questions come up for your audience. But some of them we can answer, and others we don't even have all the answers to. One of the things that I live by is to allow myself to just go with the flow and to allow myself to be guided by higher guidance and by Archangel Michael, by my spirit team, and other light beings to do what it is I'm meant to do here. And I've said this to you before on multiple occasions, is when you have voiced a concern of some other kind, that somehow I say this is going to have to wait, maybe because I don't feel guided to do that yet. There's always a reason for everything, and we will get to everything when the time is right. But yes, I think that we have certainly put a dent in their mission, a big one. All right. And that's good enough for me for now. And I'm not here to tell anyone, how good I do things or how well I do things. That's not what I'm on here for. Okay. Like you said before, if anyone has an issue of any kind and you believe you are targeted by negativity or the demonic or something else, there's an easy way to detect it. Okay, that's the thing. Don't just put it aside as, oh, I'm just having bad luck or something. There's an easy way to check to see if you really are affected by something. And if you're going to seek the services of someone, I'm going to leave it at that. Make sure that this person isn't going to tell you have something that you don't. Like recently, one of my clients, she was scammed. Somebody pretended to be me on my account, and she actually ended up, a lady in the UK, and she ended up having a session with me. And this person who scammed, who used my name, from the TikTok, told her she had a curse. And I checked and I said, no, you don't. Okay, you don't have a curse. So, they wanted like hundreds of dollars from her. So just be very, very careful who you talk to, because there's a lot of people out there who take advantage of people who are afraid, who take advantage of people who are, who believe this stuff and are worried for their safety. So, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that.
Mel, thank you so much. And thank you for watching us. Like I said, Mel is not going to be here next week, but I will. And I just want you to know that we are not sensationalists. We're not calling anybody to action. We were told to share these stories, and I just heard that voice. We were instructed by the divine to share this. I know that I open myself up for a lot of judgment when I come on here and share stories that you can't resonate with. But your judgments are not the one helping me with what I'm dealing with. So it's your prerogative to handle this material how you choose, but it is my command from the divine to share it nonetheless. And I will continue to do it unreservedly and honestly, and it will help those that it is meant to help. And I will be back next week, and I will continue to suffer, and I will continue to do what is required of me as long as I can see batches of captive souls going to the light. Every bit of my suffering, all of the pain, all of the discomfort is worth it when I can see souls going home to God, because that is why I am here, not to be liked, not to be stroked, but to do my Father's will. And I will continue to do it, and do it happily, although I get mad sometimes because I could only take so much. Thank you, Mel. I love you. And we will be back, Mel and I, in 2 weeks, but me next week. Bye.
Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.